Start recording. Encryption file theta sigma / Redivivus 772572. This is the Doctor. Well, things took a slightly different turn on my recent adventure. You'll remember, I'm sure, that recently I was involved in saving a whole other Gallifrey from another universe by the ingenious use of Artron cannons firing concentrated bursts of temporal energy to unfreeze the planet and all the people on it, so that they, in their own way, could get themselves back to their own universe and out of the bubble universe that they've been put in by another version of me. It seems that in other universes there are other Doctors. Maybe that's a good thing. I certainly think so. There will be others, of course, who might not quite agree. See the Daleks, Cybermen, Sontarans, Ice Warriors for further details. But I digress. After that mission, I impressed upon Maltravers, the coordinator of the Celestial Intervention Agency, that I hadn't had any time off for quite some time, and since we Time Lords deal in time, he should know how important that was to me. So he relented and said, well, yes, okay, take as long as you need, but remember, you're still attached to the agency, and if we need to recall you, we shall. All right, I said, all right. I know where my loyalties lie. Have no fear on that score. Well, I had my liberty, so what was I going to do with myself? Difficult to decide, really. So many things I could do, so many places to see, so many things to do, so many whens, so many wheres. And then I hit upon a notion. Over my lives, I've travelled with many, many people, and very rarely have I ever visited them, caught up with them, seen how they've got on with their lives after having been with me. And I thought I would remedy that. I would go and see some of them. And I decided to go and see people from the very early years of my travels through time and space. 2 people from Earth. One of them, Polly Wright, a musician by training, a cellist, and a very good one at that. He'd been studying in University of Liverpool in the 1960s. And someone rather different from her was Jack Benson, a rough and ready squaddy, recently finished his basic training. They met in Liverpool when I took Jack to the first ever Beatles concert that was televised. He was a bit of a fan, so we popped in, and that's where he met Polly, and let's just say they hit it off straight away. I didn't really begrudge them too much. I don't mind playing gooseberry in my own TARDIS, but there we go. That's a story for another time. Anyway, after they left me, they were very much an item. So I thought I'd pick up on their story, find out what had become of them. Had they stayed together? What jobs were they doing? Was Jack still in the army? Had Polly fulfilled her ambition to become a famous cellist. There's only one way to find out. So I set the coordinates of the TARDIS and took myself off to England. I thought I'd give them a certain space and time within which to have grown, matured, and decided on a direction in life. I'd met them both in the 1960s, so I thought I'd pick them up in the 1980s. So I use the telepathic circuits of the TARDIS, she knows what she's doing, and found them. And they were still together, and I was pleased about that. They were running an orphanage, and I must say my heart went out to both of them, giving themselves so tirelessly to such important work. Of course, Time Lord as I am, I've changed since last I've seen them, so there's a little bit of convincing to do. But when they saw the blue box, well, they knew it was me. So we sat down and chatted. How had they been? What had they done? They had travelled for a while after leaving me. Polly still played the cello, but preferred to actually teach cello, and was quite a good person in that regard. She had the patience as well as the imagination and interest to convey that to her students, to really get into the music, the narrative behind the tune. Jack had left the army quite early on and had gone through a number of different jobs, and really it's when they were travelling through India that they both decided that there was a work that they both felt passionate about, and that's when they decided to open an orphanage. Very small affair, but very effective in caring for the children in their charge. I arrived the day before an inspection was due, so there was a lot of fuss and hubbub and nervousness around the place, so me dropping into the middle of that was perhaps the last thing they needed. Pleasant as it was, of course, to see me and talk about old times and catch up with all the many things I've been doing since we parted company. But I assured them, well, I looked around the place and met the children and saw the members of staff, and I thought everything was fine. I said, I'm sure you'll pass with flying colours, and I'm not just saying that because you're my friends. Objectively speaking, you're doing everything that you possibly can do for these young people, and it's highly commendable. So imagine the shock, both mine and theirs, when the inspectors arrived. And rather strangely, whatever they pointed out, they were right. Something was wrong here, something was wrong there. Nothing seemed to fit together. It was decidedly odd. It was just weird. Polly looked so forlorn. She said to me, they're going to take the children from us. I can feel it. I know it, Doctor. What are we going to do? Everything was in order. But now, today, it's like everything's falling apart. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know what to say. Fighting aliens is my thing. Dealing with bureaucracy, well, it's quite another. Sometimes you just have to accept the way things are. And she turned to me passionately and said, "But this isn't how things are. Something has changed, and it's not down to us. I suspect foul play. I can't prove it, Doctor, but it's in my guts. Something is wrong. Like in the old days when we were with you." "Now that," I said, "is something I understand. Do you want me to investigate?" She looked at me pleadingly. "Of course, please do. There must be something." Jack put a restraining hand to my shoulder. "Doctor, don't. It'll just make things worse. We just have to accept that somehow we failed to run things properly, and we've just got to face the truth of the matter. We're closing down. That seems on the cards, and the kids are going to be taken elsewhere." And I gave him one of my looks. "Now you listen to me, Jack. You trusted me when we travelled together. Trust me now. Trust your wife. There is something that doesn't quite add up here. Everything yesterday was perfect. Today everything's going wrong. There has to be a root cause, and I intend to find out what it is." I went through the whole place. I went through the records. I left no stone unturned. "There's only one thing remains," I said. "The investigators themselves." So I arranged with Polly that we would bump into them on their tour around the building. It was the final part of the assessment. I looked at Polly. I said, "Are you boiling cabbage or something today? This is not a good choice for the menu, really." She says, "No, we're not planning anything like that today." "Why do you ask?" "Well, that smell, can you not get a hint of it? I mean, I find it quite overpowering. I know Gallifreyan sense organs are more heightened than human, but surely you're getting a sense of it." So she sniffed the air. "Yes, I see what you mean." And then came into view a rather portly gentleman and a rather portly lady. And then something occurred to me. When had I smelt that before? That very distinctive odour, like rotting vegetables. Plus, very large people. I turned to Polly. "I'm going to engage those people in chit-chat, but you go to the kitchens, go immediately, and tell Jack to bring as much vinegar as possible." "Vinegar?" "Just do as I say. It'll all become clear, but you must hurry. We've not a moment to lose." Now you have probably guessed what Polly couldn't possibly know. These two people were actually from Raxacorival Pallivatorius. I kept them talking for a while, and they were sniffing the air. So I knew they were on to me, though they wouldn't detect precisely which planet I was from. I was sure of that. We Gallifreyans keep ourselves to ourselves in the main. So I smiled at them. "I suppose we should come clean with each other," I said. "I'm an off-worlder, and you two certainly are. So, let's be candid. Who are you, and where are you from? Of course they tried to bluff it out a bit. So, I got the sonic screwdriver out. What are you going to do with that? They said. Well, I thought I would interfere with your compression field to your skin suits. And I put the squeeze on them. And the suits began to really give them a great deal of discomfort. The gas exchange, of course, was a problem for them, and the smell and the noise increased. Have mercy, they pleaded. You're from the Slovene family, I suppose. They're a bunch of crooks trying to make a fast credit in the galaxy. I should have guessed. We are, they admitted. We are. But have mercy. Release the field. We're suffocating in here. You killed 2 people, probably more, over your entire history of crime. But those were living people that you're speaking through. And why are you here anyway? What are you doing on a level 5 planet? And why are you interested in shutting down such noble work, giving orphan children a place of safety and care and education, a chance at a future? Tell me, or you'll take your secret to the grave, and I mean it. I used to have so much mercy. Now my patience with evil is running thin indeed. They could see the resolve in my face, and blurted out the whole plan. It was monstrous, monstrous in the extreme. They wanted to take the orphans back to the hunting grounds of their own planet, so that their own young, their own offspring, could learn how to hunt. At this point, Polly and Jack came back in, and they heard this horrific revelation. Well, I'll have to go through me first, said Jack. And me, said Polly with passion. It won't come to that, I said, because they're leaving. Aren't you? We don't see why we should have to do what you want. Well, my friends here have got rather a lot of vinegar. And since you are a calcium-based life form, it's deadly to you, skin suit or not. And if I put the squeeze on you even more, maybe you'll just burst. So, we have the advantage. Go now, or that's it. And if ever you come here again, and I'm here to find you, there will be no more mercy. So they turned and fled. And from that day onwards, I said to Jack and to Polly that if ever anything suspicious occurred again, they were to ring the TARDIS immediately, and I would drop everything and come to their assistance. So there you go. I went for a little break and ended up doing the usual, saving the day, with a little help from my friends. I don't know. No rest for the wicked, no rest for the Doctor. Doctor out.